You finally settle into bed. The room is quiet, and your body is ready to stop moving. But your legs seem to have other plans. It may begin as a crawling feeling deep under the skin, or a pulling, tingling, aching sensation that is difficult to name. You shift your feet. You stretch. Perhaps you get up and walk across the room. For a moment, it eases. Then you lie down again, become still, and the feeling returns. Many people call this a leg cramp. But a typical night cramp usually arrives as a sudden, painful muscle contraction. The calf or foot may tighten into a hard knot and feel sore afterward. Restless sensations can feel different, less like a muscle has seized, and more like an uncomfortable need to keep moving. That distinction is useful. But it does not identify the cause. It simply gives us a better place to begin. A night cramp tends to announce itself clearly. The pain is often intense and localized. The muscle tightens suddenly, usually for seconds or minutes, before it releases. Restless sensations are often harder to describe. They may build while you are sitting or lying down. Instead of one sharply contracted muscle, there may be an internal pressure to stretch, shift position, or walk. Movement can help both experiences, so relief alone cannot separate them. The more useful difference is the sequence. With a cramp, a muscle suddenly contracts. With a restless pattern, stillness may allow the discomfort and urge to move to build. Movement may ease it temporarily, but the feeling can return when rest returns. So the question is not simply, did walking help? It is, what was happening before the feeling began? Was there a sudden hard contraction, or did an urge gradually build while I was still? That is a safer distinction than trying to name the condition from one night. Imagine the same evening from the beginning. You are moving around the house, and your legs feel normal. Then you sit on the sofa and remain still for a while. A strange sensation begins. You stand, walk, or stretch, and it fades. When you sit down again, it slowly returns. Later, the same sequence happens in bed. That relationship, rest, an urge to move, temporary relief, then return, is often more informative than whether the sensation feels like crawling, tingling, pulling, or aching. Clinicians also pay attention to timing. The pattern associated with restless leg syndrome is usually more noticeable in the evening or at night. And they ask whether it repeats and meaningfully disrupts sleep or daytime life. But these features are not a home test. The clinical definition also requires that the experience is not better explained by something else, such as a cramp, an uncomfortable position, joint or nerve symptoms, or a medication effect. One unusual night does not establish a syndrome. A repeated sequence is worth describing, but it still does not name the cause. So why might the body become more restless precisely when it is supposed to become quiet? Clinicians use the term restless leg syndrome for a specific sleep-related movement pattern involving an urge to move, often with uncomfortable sensations. Current evidence suggests that brain iron regulation and genetic susceptibility are part of the biology. Dopamine-related signaling and daily biological timing also appear to be involved. But there is no single, complete explanation. It would be misleading to say the legs are simply low in iron, that dopamine runs out at night, or that movement resets the nervous system. The underlying biology is only partly understood, including the exact reason movement brings temporary relief. And there is another reason to remain cautious. Quiet and stillness can make many sensations easier to notice. Joint discomfort, nerve irritation, swelling, or pressure from one's sleeping position may all become more obvious in bed. That is why nighttime timing matters. But nighttime alone is not proof of restless leg syndrome. The same hour can hold several different stories. A calf that suddenly becomes hard and sharply painful may be cramping. Burning, electric pain, persistent numbness, weakness, or balance changes may be more consistent with a nerve-related problem and deserve a broader evaluation. Sometimes the explanation is positional. One posture may place pressure on a hip, knee, ankle, back, or nerve. Changing position may settle it without the discomfort repeatedly returning whenever rest returns. A more general inability to sit still can also occur as a medication effect. When new restlessness begins after a medicine is started or its dose changes, the prescriber should know. Do not stop the medicine on your own. Visible changes belong to a different medical conversation. New swelling, warmth, redness, discoloration, pain, or tenderness in a leg should not be dismissed as ordinary restlessness. Blood clots are only one possible explanation, but these signs require prompt medical assessment. And poor circulation is not one simple diagnosis. Problems involving veins and arteries follow different patterns and require different evaluation. The safest lesson is not to choose among these possibilities by yourself. It is to notice when the experience includes features that do not fit the usual pattern of an urge building during rest and easing with movement. Seen this way, the legs may not be behaving randomly. There may be a repeatable relationship between becoming still, feeling an urge to move, gaining brief relief, and noticing the sensation return. Recognizing that sequence can replace confusion with a more useful description. But a useful description is not the same as a diagnosis. The purpose of noticing a pattern is not to prove that you have restless leg syndrome. It is to make the next conversation clearer, when the sensation begins, what it feels like, what movement changes, what happens afterward, and whether anything else appears with it. Sometimes understanding begins not with finding a label, but with observing the order in which things happen. For 7 nights, you can keep a simple record. Note when the sensation begins and whether you were sitting or lying down. Describe the feeling in your own words. Record whether there was a real urge to move, what walking or stretching changed, how quickly the sensation returned, and how much sleep you lost. Also note anything that changes the context: numbness, weakness, swelling, skin color changes, a recent medication change, and the timing of caffeine or alcohol. This is not a test. It is a way to give a healthcare professional a clearer picture. For mild or occasional sensations, some people find that gentle movement, stretching, warmth, massage, or a consistent sleep schedule helps them feel more comfortable. These measures may offer temporary support, but they do not identify or correct the underlying cause. A clinician may review medications, iron studies, nerve symptoms, sleep quality, and relevant health conditions. Current clinical guidance recommends iron testing in people with clinically significant RLS, because treatment decisions depend on the results and the individual context. Do not stop a prescribed medicine. And do not begin iron or another supplement simply because the pattern sounds familiar. Arrange a timely appointment when symptoms repeatedly disturb sleep, affect daytime functioning, become more intense, or occur with persistent numbness, weakness, or balance difficulty. Seek prompt medical assessment for new leg swelling, warmth, redness, discoloration, pain, or tenderness. Sudden difficulty breathing, chest pain, coughing blood, lightheadedness, or fainting requires immediate medical help. And back or leg symptoms with new bladder or bowel difficulty, numbness around the groin or buttocks, or major new weakness require emergency assessment. The next time your legs become restless in bed, you may notice more than the sensation itself. You may notice what happened before it began. Whether stillness made it build. Whether movement helped only temporarily. And whether the experience felt like an internal urge, or a muscle suddenly tightening into a painful knot. A pattern can make the experience easier to describe. It cannot, by itself, identify the cause. Which detail do you notice first, a sudden hard cramp, or an urge that builds while you are resting? If calm, evidence-informed explanations like this help your body feel less mysterious, you are warmly invited to subscribe to Body Decode. On the end screen, watch our earlier video about night leg cramps for a closer look at the muscle contraction pattern. Or continue to 8 silent body signals worth paying attention to after 50 to see how other everyday signals fit into the bigger picture.